J-Dog, easy play, anytime, stop, nada, much. Slayer Boxer, C, Bisu, Savior, 16 of the most powerful StarCraft gamers in the world. LG, Intel Centrino, Com TV, Star Invitational.
The game has begun. We see Flash at the top right. A red Terran. There he is now. A 15-year-old prodigy. One of the most terrifying 15-year-olds you will ever meet. And here's Stork at the bottom left. This guy's pretty scary, too. I mean, when this guy logs on Battle.net, I turn off my computer and hide under my bed. He is really good. So we want to see if Stork's going to send out some probe early on for some type of possible proxy gate. But until then, I'm going to read some stuff they've handed to me that people are saying on the forum. Someone says, shout out to Denmark. Cheers to you guys. Someone else says, Stork has to be one of the biggest chokes in the Pro League, MSL, GSI. He's choked in 3 major finals. If he loses this, he's going to go down as one of the biggest underachievers in final history. Then this is true. Stork is a really, really good player, but for some reason, every time he gets to the finals, everything starts to go wrong for him. I mean, he's always getting the silver medal. And so far, this doesn't seem to be a deviation from that norm. Somebody else says, nice suit. You missed my purple shirt. I don't miss the purple shirt. Have you guys noticed? You like that suit? I was pretty pleased with that. I have upgraded. I've leveled up. I have changed my character class. Now I look like purple wasn't quite my color, I guess. So Stork has not actually gone for any type of proxy. But will instead go for what looks like a gateway first. Oh, no, excuse me. It's going to be a Nexus first. I should have noticed that simply by how many probes he had. Nexus first, a very strong Protoss build. A little tricky to pull off at the start. There are a lot of different technical rushes, which means builds like this require endless practice in order to pull off well. It's one of the builds I really enjoy doing when I play on iCub. Now, I'm curious if Flash is going to go for some type of very, very aggressive rush. But he has not even made a Marine yet. Factory first. Flash, however, does not know that his opponent has fast Nexus. Flash doesn't even know if Stork has proxied. But clearly Flash is confident enough with his Marine micro that he would actually make his factory first. Now, soon Flash is going to scout the fast Nexus and suddenly realize that this could be very difficult. Only Marines and SCVs are the turn units that can fit through that small entrance, which makes an opening like this. Oh, hidden second factory. Note that he did build that in a location where it would be very difficult for a scouting probe to find. This means that Flash will be going for something rather aggressive. However, there's a zigzag motion that the Terran army has to do to get pretty close to the Protoss' base. He could set up a few siege tanks and vulture bikes in that crevice outside of outside of Stork's expansion. Stork knows that, though, so he's going to do everything he possibly can to muster up enough units to take on those forces. Note the positioning of the Marines. He doesn't want to let Stork see that, in fact. Well, Stork has no idea if the Terran's expanded now, or if the Terran's going to get a starport, if the Terran's going to get a fast second factory. And because of that, Stork is low on intelligence right now. Now here comes a Zealot. He's going to drive away this Marine and probably take a peek. But note that Flash is actually floating that factory over there. This could be very interesting. He's going to make a few vulture bikes. This could completely confuse Stork if he sees vulture bikes coming in from a location that is not within the Terran's base. Now, he did get that scouting probe in there. A nice move by Stork. Players like this have so many different tricks just to get a scouting probe into your base. It's unbelievable. But Stork may be more prepared for something else because he sees that the Terran has not expanded yet. The Terran, well, he did not see a second factory, which might be confusing for him. He did not see the starport, but he at least knows that the Terran has not expanded early, so he's going to be a bit more on guard. The Vulture Bikes are now sneaking around. It seems as though Stork has sensed something and is now moving into a position which is more desirable. Here come the Vulture Bikes. Stork spotted them. He's going to do everything he possibly can to try to delay these Vulture Bikes, taking out the mine and moving along the way. Oh! Using that Zealot, he's going to try to take some mine fire. Zealots can take 3 hits from mines. Dragoons can only take 2. And it's the Dragoons you want to preserve in a moment like this. Terran's now pushing out. Now, if Terran's initial attack does not prove to be effective, Protoss will have way too much momentum, especially considering he got Nexus before Gateway. But here comes a Terran now sneaking down through that crevice. Marine's going to cover this tank and take out the Zealot. Stork is not in a good position anymore. There's no way Dragoons can fit through that hole over there. And that Marine, he is pretty aggressive. Look at that. He's already all the way over on the other side. Now, if Flash can take out the Nexus, he could gain some type of advantage. And Stork, responding with this, is going to go for Robo Bay. With, well, he's going to be going for Reavers, as we can see. That could be very strong because if Flash expands, and I also do not see an engineering bay for Flash. If Flash expands, he will not have the necessary cover to defend from a Reaver drop. Here he comes in now with the shuttle. He has to do something to save that Nexus, and this may be his only chance. And it looks like the Nexus, if we can get a shot of it, no, the Nexus on the minimap has been taken out. And Flash knows he's done his job and immediately pulls out. Good players like this know when they need to stay and they know when they need to leave, and that was a perfect decision for him to take out that Nexus, and while he has the advantage, not risk being there anymore. Looking at what people are saying on the forums, ever since the era of Uv, there hasn't been a dominant Terran player to strike fear into opponents. A lot of people were saying it would be mined after the last MSL, but Flash's current play has shown without a doubt that he is that Terran, and I agree completely. For a while, it seemed like we had this whole Terran era where Terran just was never losing, and then all of a sudden it was like Protoss and Zerg seemed to figure out a way to dominate the Terrans, but here Flash is. This baller kid who is beating people who have been playing the game for 3 times as long as he has. He started playing at 12. I can't even believe that. Now, these Vulture Bike Spider Mines have spotted this Reaver drop, which means this Reaver drop will be possibly not as effective. Flash has gotten the armory. Flash really likes these early armory builds. It looks like he's going to try to move in now from the back. Stargate being made for the Protoss. Here comes a possible Reaver drop, but mines and tanks will make it difficult. Barely out of range of that mine. Stork unaware that the mine was even there to begin with. Oh! It did no damage whatsoever, but he will at least be able to use that Reaver to slow down his opponent. Now, it looks like, just like we saw Anytime do, to beat Flash on this map, Stork has gone for 2 shuttles. But look at that. Flash has already scanned that location and spotted the 2 shuttles. Is Stork going to go in anyways? Yes, and he has shuttle speed too. But he's got to be very careful. Flash is already prepared. This is one thing you really have to notice about Flash, is that he never seems to be harassed easily in the early game. Note again, Stork's positioning of the Stargates in such a place where it's not unlikely for Terran to scan. Although players like Flash have map hacks in their brain, so maybe that won't matter. Seeing the early Reavers should also already indicate that carriers are a very likely possibility, as well as the structure of the map. Now it looks like Stork's going to try to go around from a different angle with these shuttles, possibly. If not, he may just use that to defend. And Flash, in a very defensive position, is trying to muster up enough units that he can march across the map and put the killing blows on his opponent. Four factories for the Terran and a starport being made so he can get that science facility so he can do the additional upgrade that he wants in order to take out his opponent. Stork is expanding again and now going in for a containment. He needs to do anything he can to hold back the Terran for any type of harassment. Here come the shuttles now moving in. Reaver drops, stuck behind the building command center though. Now trying to take out this command center while it's being constructed. Evacuates with the shuttles. Flash's next expansion will come up a little bit later. Stork, nice move by him, coming in there and picking off that command center which is building. It was not destroyed. He did cancel it, but still, the expansion itself will be coming out a little bit later. The observer's been picked off. Flash has probably already spotted those carriers that are being made and is now scanning his own base. Whoa! Reaver dropping really quickly, just taking out one tank. Stork being very aggressive. You don't generally see Protosses rush in there just for one tank kill like that. Flash now knows that the carriers are coming, so he's scanning his own base just to take out observers. Protoss still has that containment outside of the Terran's base. Double shuttles means it's very difficult for the Terran to utilize clustered siege tanks. However, Goliaths in the game can change that very quickly. Stork expanding to a location which is much easier to defend with carriers. Two carriers are out now, and the interceptors are beginning to build. Flash using this building as a spotter. It makes it very difficult for Dragoons to rush into locations like that if the building's in the front. The AI tends to target fire the building first, and then once they take damage, they immediately respond by targeting the unit, but it can really mess up the Protoss, excuse me. Here he comes now. He's trying to decide if it's the right moment to try to go in for some type of closing attack. Flash has to be careful not to chunk his siege tanks too closely together. Stork doing anything possible to not allow his opponent to expand. And he's now transferring probes. Stork gaining a pretty big economic advantage here with two expansions. He'll need to get up probably about 5 to 6 carriers before he'll have adequate carrier defense. Surprisingly, Stork has not pushed yet. Looks like Flash may be waiting for the 2-2 upgrade. Or 2-1. He's 1-1 right now, which might be the reason why he's moved out to begin with. Dropping a Reaver really quickly, trying to pick up something, anything. Here he comes with more units now. Stork backs off. Stork definitely at an economic advantage right now, but he's going to need some more carriers if he wants to stay inside this game. And we see that the attack upgrade for the carriers is just now finished because the cybernetic score was not lighting up anymore. So his carriers will be reasonably strong. The Reaver, the Zealots, and the Dragoons are going to make it tough for the Terran to get too close. This may turn out to be a maxed game. And if that... Okay, here we go. I think we're getting a shot of the inside Flash's screen. As we can see, he's a beast going everywhere. Macroing very well. Or maybe that was just my screen that got a shot of that, because when I look back, I see it's not. Now here he comes with the carriers moving in. Reavers taking out SCVs. And Flash cannot afford to lose that many SCVs. That was definitely a win right there for Stork. Flash suddenly realizing what's happened, knows he has to push now. It's now or never. Moving out now. One Zealot, thirsty for SCV blood, is still taking out a few SCVs over there. Stork going to back off a little bit, knows he's in the advantage with the SCVs, is going to sit back and get just a few more units before he tries to go in for the kill move on this push. Flash has to control his units perfectly. But is it going to be enough for a Reaver on top of carriers, on top of Zealots and Dragoons? Here he comes now, sieging up just so his rest of his units can get into position, and here he comes now, moving in. Reaver firing, but Flash snipes the Reaver and takes it out, but it looks like Stork may have too many units and is now wiping out the rest of Flash's army. Flash microwing really well, but there will not be enough Goliaths here to take on all of these carriers, which means the tanks will be taken out. If Flash is not unsiege and retreat, he needs to keep the tanks alive for the push to work later on. Stork being very careful to not lose any more carriers. He's learned his lesson from the last game. More carriers grouped together now. And here they come now, trying to attack a few more Goliaths. Goliaths being taken out. Tanks pulling back, now sieging up. He may be able to snipe those tanks with the carriers if he chooses, but first he will go for the Goliaths. Carrier control is too good, and it looks like Terran might not be able to do anything about it. Now taking out those tanks, making the Protoss ground army very, very strong. Looks like Protoss on the minimap is going to be expanding pretty soon here at the top left. And here he comes with Zealots and Dragoons, taking out. No backing off, excuse me. And Flash not quite microing his Goliaths as well as he could have, using the hold position button micro to try to take out a few interceptors. Third Stargate coming up now for the Protoss. He's going to have even more carriers. He's definitely feeling comfortable with his carrier usage right now and is going to stick with that. Command center at the bottom right. Stork will be engaging that very soon once he discovers that it is there. Look at how Stork is using the carriers in locations where the Goliaths cannot quite rush in there. But the upgraded Goliaths take out interceptors so quickly, it's quite surprising, actually. And it looks like there may be a push in the bottom center corner. Actually, it's not a corner, it's just the bottom center. And now Stork's response is to try to go and counterattack an expansion. Flash suddenly realizes and pulls back. We don't have a very clear shot of how many units Terran actually has. And it looks like some carriers are being taken out. And suddenly Flash is doing surprisingly well despite the economic disadvantage, but still, Stork's carrier micro is so strong. Hold position microing the Goliaths, taking out more interceptors. Stork may be interceptorless for a little bit, and now he's going to have to rebuild all those. Now the Terran is going to go in for the killing move on that expansion at the bottom. Stork does not want to lose that. Stork may go in for another counterattack once again. Stork has walled in with 2 pylons just in case this actually happened, delaying how fast the Terran can get there. And here he comes now. Suddenly Flash realizes he's going to have to go back. He's got to save that one expansion. And he may end up trapping the Protoss army here. Stork is going to have to micro very carefully. And he comes in from 2 sides, picking off these Goliaths. Wow. And Stork is managing to keep his carriers alive, abruptly moving up here to try to harass this expansion, picking off whatever's closer. 2 Zealots at the bottom right, taking on SCVs. And 2 Vulture Bikes in the bottom main, which means that Stork is not mining minerals from those locations. That could be very bad news for Stork in the long run. He needs as much Vespian gas as well as possible just so he can keep on getting carriers. Look at this excellent carrier control by Stork, pushing back some Goliaths, making SCVs more vulnerable. He's picking off a few more Goliaths. Terran has to scramble and make a few more turrets. And wow, picking off tons of SCVs. This expansion will soon be SCV-less. Goliath's doing a great job trying to push back these carriers, but is it good enough? But it looks like, oh, another carrier goes down, and it looks like Terran's about to push. Stork's even upgraded the shields, so the carriers are just that much stronger. Has not gotten gas at that expansion, surprisingly. It looks like Terran may regroup and attempt to go in once again for a major assault. Terran has not yet been able to engage anything that's too far on the left side of the map. And here come the Dragoons and the carriers now. Goliath's going to back off, probably wait for some tank support. It looks like There's some building that's under attack here. The barracks. He won't be able to make any more factories until he remakes that barracks. Flash has to control everything very, very carefully, and having an uphill battle like this is going to be tough on him. If he can take out enough Goliaths, he can go in for the kill move on the tanks, keeping the Dragoons just out of tank range. Flash not microing as well as he could, but using that hold position micro pretty well to take out interceptors. Once again, Stork will have to back off. Observer picked off as well. This is turning out to be an insane game. Here we see the carriers trying to pick off a few more Goliaths. Tanks within range of the Dragoons. The Dragoons will not be of use too much longer, and Flash may actually manage to get across the map. Many interceptors being taken out now. Not very many tanks for Flash, though. A heavy Protoss ground army could prove to be quite difficult for Terran. And it looks like the +3, or maybe even armor for the carriers is about to complete. Here he comes now. Looks like Flash is going to have the high ground advantage. Flash is uncomfortably close to where Stork is. Now picking off a few more Goliaths, Zealots, and Dragoons coming in from the bottom. And it looks like he will manage to take out enough Goliaths to make this attack of Flash's a failure. The tanks will be taken out, and soon Protoss will respond with a counterattack, most likely at the bottom right, but who knows? He could attack anywhere with the carriers, who most likely, wherever Flash is most vulnerable. Flash in a very difficult position right now. Looking at the forum, someone wants to say, shout out to Ironwood High School. We're watching at 3 a.m. Cheers to you guys. Someone else says... excuse me, I can't say that on TV. Somebody else says, shout out to Case Western University of Cleveland in Ohio. Nice, guys. I'm glad you guys are watching. I hope you're enjoying this. And here we see the carriers taking out this command center. It will be of no use anymore. Stork has to choose where he attacks next very carefully. And Stork also wants to try to get that bottom middle expansion. That's the expansion that Terran's most likely going to take late game, which is one of the reasons why he picked that expansion as where he wants to take. I mean, it's also because it's very easy to defend with carriers. But it's important because if this game goes into the late game where almost everything's mined out, Terran will not have as many minerals at that expansion. Here he comes now with the carriers. So many carriers. Possibly not enough Goliaths. Looks like Flash trying to do the hold position micro, but at a hopeless rate because there are way too many interceptors for them to possibly ever take this on. And now, with all those Goliaths taking heavy damage, Stork can even afford to lose that carrier. Here come more Zealots and Dragoons. Flash getting back into a corner. He may lose this game. Vulture Bike's laying mines, but Stork doesn't seem to care, continuing to push forward, taking out more and more Goliaths. Unbelievable carrier control by Stork. But wow, when the Goliaths are that heavily upgraded, they can take on a lot of units. But not that many carriers. And it looks like bad news for Terran. But Stork has to choose where he's going to attack next. He actually has not been as offensive as I would have expected, but here comes some more ground units to possibly supplement the lack of ground units previously. Flash is in a tough position. He has no real way of being offensive right now. He's going to be against the ropes for a little bit while Stork beats him down, but can Stork beat him down enough? This is a player who seems to bounce back from difficult positions. Flash is, that is. With no tanks there, the Dragoons are very, very strong. Goliath's coming in from different angles, and mines being laid around the Dragoons. He may take out a lot of Dragoons. No, excuse me. The Dragoons are proving to be very strong. Carriers rushing in here to try to take one more. Goliath's rushing in there to try to take out one more carrier, but to no avail. And soon, very soon, Stork will take out this expansion at the bottom, splitting up his army so that the carriers are at the bottom right. The Dragoons are at the bottom right, actually. The carriers are going to continue to hold off these Goliaths. Look at the carrier micro. And Flash knows he has to give up now. GG. Unbelievable game. 1-1 tie. Stork relieved that he's now won a game. Flash actually doesn't look that bothered at all by that loss. And we are tied right now with the GOM TV StarCraft Invitational Finals. Very impressive games. We may be taking a break soon, I believe. Wow. That game was very back and forth. Very, very impressive game. One of those games where I just could not believe that Flash managed to... First of all, let me put it like this. Stork lost his Nexus very early. It looked like Stork was going to lose very badly. Then it was like, then Flash came out here with this incredible push, and it looked like Flash was going to win, but Stork somehow managed to hold it off. Back and forth game, very impressive. Stay tuned at the GOM TV StarCraft Invitational. We have more stuff coming up.